Wow. Inter Miami, Ahly, game 1 of the Club World Cup, 0-0 final. My heart's racing so fast, I don't know what to say. Sor, my friend, my co-host, how are you feeling after that incredible 0-0 game?
Nah, I should have won that. Should have won that. Oh, dude, what a game. What a game. Thank you and congratulations to Ahly. That was brilliantly done. I think that was a fantastic matchup. Both teams, first half, it was all Ahly. Second half, it was all into Miami. And that was so fun. I'm still looking at my TV, constantly thinking that there's still more time left for Inter Miami to do anything. That was a huge performance from all the boys in the second half. Like the first half, we were okay, and it felt like, yeah, the quality isn't the same as the champions of Africa. And then the second half, we just completely changed gears to the point that Inter Miami looked like the dominant and superior team by far. I don't know what it was. We can talk about it. I'm sure we're going to watch it again tomorrow, analyze it and everything. But it just felt like a lot more dogged performance. And I'll be honest, the Miami weather kind of worked in our favor because you could see like Ahly players were completely dead by the end of it. And we were just like we were out on a stroll in the park. Second half, completely turned it up. Man. So honestly, a little disappointed that we didn't get the win because there were so many opportunities, but also we could have easily lost this game 3-0 in the first half and it would have been completely over. So kudos to all the players who were on that pitch, all 22 players from both teams. I think Javier Mascherano did well in terms of setting this team up, and his halftime talk must have really, really changed things because the entire mindset was completely different. I've really enjoyed that game. Fantastic start to the Club World Cup. Unfortunately, no goals to talk about, but still, without goals, a 0-0 draw, I think that was the best I've ever seen.
I have some thoughts on why it went much better in the second half, and we'll get into that. But I think there's some bigger picture things I want to talk about first. That is the most fun I've had watching a soccer game in months minimum. Like I think the LAFC game was comparable, but for a draw, this is the most fun I've had. I couldn't sit on my couch. I was too anxious, and my couch is a normal amount of distance away from my television, and I couldn't be that far away from what was happening. So I was standing up the entire game, got a nice rest at halftime, but this was just so much fun. It's what being a fan is all about, so that you can enjoy moments like this. You mentioned it. Ahly was worthy competition. Incredible. They were great, and because they were so good, it made this feel great. They had the perfect game plan in the first half to stop and beat Inter Miami, and they executed exceptionally well. And Inter Miami, I don't think, had the personnel to counter it with the injuries that we have. Yannick Bright would have been huge in the midfield, and Jordi Alba being healthy at left back and moving Noah Allen, who's quicker, into the center back position would have also been huge. If you give me those two players healthy on against Porto, I'm ready to go, baby. Let's go take them on, because what I saw tonight, above all else, maybe not in terms of our depth, but in terms of who we could put out and really play with, because I don't think there was anyone else we could go to after Fafa. This team absolutely belongs in this tournament. They absolutely belong on this stage, and they just put on an incredible performance, especially that second half, that I hope entertained every single person across the globe that watched this game. Incredible.
And the narrative online is going to be that Inter Miami should have beaten this Ahly side. Ahly really showed off in the first half, had Inter Miami under the pressure. No. I genuinely went into this game thinking Inter Miami is the clear underdog and could have lost this game. Honestly, been dominated and completely destroyed in the first game to the point that we'd be thinking, why are we even in this Club World Cup? But Inter Miami, even in the first half, I don't think it was perfect from us by any means, and we weren't great. And Ahly should have had at least 2 goals. But we still had a couple of opportunities and a glimmer where I was like, listen, this is not that far apart a gulf in quality.
I agree.
That I was like, oh, yeah, this looks like a normal game where any side could turn the tide in their favor and eventually, open up the game a bit more. Obviously, felt like Al Ahly would do it in this first half, but that second half was a complete pendulum swing towards Inter Miami. There's a multiple factors to that. I think the fact that Chelo Wigan came in, I thought he was really good in that right hand side of the pitch. And coupled with Ian Frey on that side, I thought Ian Frey as the centre back probably his best performance that I've seen from him. He was cleaning up everything. Chelo Wigan fixed his game up. He was looking really good in that second half. He didn't let any Al Ahly attacks come through. The midfield was a lot more stable, especially because I think Wigan was coming in a little bit supporting, but also Allende and Segovia both started playing a little bit more centrally to support Redondo and Sergio Busquets. And the passing was a lot more slicker. We were just passing through the pockets really well, getting the ball up the pitch. And I thought we were a completely transformed team in that second half. I don't remember Al Ahly having too many clear cut opportunities in that second half in front of Ustari's goal. And kudos to Ustari, man. Honestly, man of the match performance, kept us in
Oh,
the
of
game.
course.
And oh my goodness, 3 or 4 saves that I would have thought he's 18 years old with the reflexes that he had. Beautiful, beautiful performance in that second half. First half was really competitive. Al Ahly had it, but it just turned out that neither teams can apparently score a goal. So worked out that it was a 0-0 draw. A very fun 0-0 draw, by all means. Very fun.
That Messi shot in like the 93rd, where he goes from deep to the opposite corner, and El Shanawi made a great save. Both goalkeepers played phenomenal. Inter Miami, I think, when they first came out, let me refresh. I want to start by giving Javier Mascherano an unbelievable amount of credit. Every decision I thought was perfect based on what he had in front of him. The start of this game, we both thought, well, I certainly thought there was a chance this was like a 3-4 game. I predicted 4-3 in the pregame show. I thought it was going to be back and forth, high scoring, very offensive. And I think Javier Mascherano felt the same way. And if that's the game we're playing, I think you need Ian Frey on that right side who can give you a little spark to try and create more offense. But then we saw at halftime that Inter Miami, exactly what Al Ahly was doing. They were playing very compact, making it difficult for Messi, and then they were launching on the counterattack, and they were incredibly precise
So
with that.
good.
The
So
ball
good.
through the midfield to that front line was so incredibly precise. And so what Javier Mascherano saw was we have to stop with the turnovers, period. Not just turnovers high up the field, but turnovers, period. And so when you bring on Chelo Wigan, regardless of what we think of him in terms of actually putting offense on the board, he is less likely to turn the ball over than Ian Frey. And then you move Ian Frey to center back, and there he's less likely to do it than Toto Aviles. And so you became more ball secure, and the turnovers cut down significantly. Al Ahly, I thought, felt a little bit of pressure. We can talk about them from a mindset later and maybe just tomorrow. But I thought the decisions were perfect. Going back to the pregame, I thought maybe you wanted Kramaski to help you win balls in the midfield. No, you needed to be ball secure, and that is what Federico Redondo gives you. Him being in the midfield, I thought was absolutely the right decision. I thought the reason we didn't push for the win at the end, I mean, obviously we went for it, but the reason we weren't able to continue just sort of slaughtering their half of the field was because Talasco Segovia and Tadeo Allende came out for Fafa and Benha, possibly necessarily because of their energy levels. But you lose just a little bit of quality. You're a little more likely to turn the ball over. And I thought that made it more difficult in the past 20 minutes. But basically, I thought Javier Mascherano made every right decision in this game, from pregame to in-game to substitutions. Basically, everything I thought was phenomenal. I've been so critical of him that I wanted to give him a ton of credit because it was perfect, in my opinion.
I'll be honest, I think Redondo was really poor in the first half, and in the second half was much, much better. I thought the reason that we were getting completely cut apart in the center of the pitch was because Redondo and Sergio Busquets were just not able to compete with the quickness with which Al Ahly was coming at us.
I'm talking about something else. I agree with you, and I don't think he was much better in the second half. But when you cut out the turnovers, then you don't force Redondo to cover in space and force him to be a part of his game that he's not as strong in. And that's where I think the success was found. So I think we would have lost this game if Kramaski was in the midfield to start the game. I really believe that.
And I want to go back to a point I made in the pregame show. We had to be secure on the ball. We had to do something with the ball when we had it, because silly turnovers all around the pitch would have completely cost us. Because Ahly was really threatening. Their front three was phenomenal. The fact that they didn't score in the first half was all down to Oscar Ustari, because we had the majority of the ball. We had about 60% possession, but they were cutting us completely apart. On that left hand side of the pitch, I know Ian Frey was doing really well offensively, but defensively, we were getting torn apart with Trezeguet on that
Yeah.
side, and then Abu Ali making those. I don't know how he didn't get a goal in this game, because he was so good in front of goal, just doing everything right up until scoring that. And then we got a little bit lucky because Imam Ashur had to go off injured in the very first quarter of this game. And that, I think, sort of played in our hands. But I think the changes were there. They were very well done. There weren't that many options for Javier Mascherano to make off the bench. So whatever said and done, he made the right choice. I would have actually taken off Redondo and put on Benjamin Kramaski and made
I think that would
Segovia
have cost
play
you the game.
centrally. I don't think so.
I think that would have cost you the game.
I disagree with that, but I think it would have been a lot. We could have had a lot more goal threatening midfield if Segovia was there in the middle with Sergio Busquets. But again, it's hypothetical, so it could
No,
have gone whatever ways.
I agree with you. It would have been more goal threatening, but it also would have been more likely to give up a goal going the other way. Let's get to the chat. Bizrat says, Ustari, man of the match. Let's just sit here for a second because, wow, unbelievable from him. Not just the penalty, but he had like 3 or 4 big saves in that first half. The second half, he had a couple that maybe weren't impossible, but you can see a goalkeeper messing them up. He was so secure. I thought he was a little slow off his line in the first half, but then he got better at that. Like, unbelievable game from Ustadi. And when you're talking about the biggest moments, and this goes to Ali too, the goalkeeper's composure and being there when their team needs it was phenomenal. Ustadi, obviously man of the match for keeping Inter Miami in this game.
Nah, man, every one-on-one opportunity, he was there. He was on the ground saving it. I thought Trezeguet had a couple of one-on-one opportunities. Abu Ali had a couple of one-on-one opportunities, and Ustari was second to none. He was there in front of every single one of them, stopping those straight shots into the goal. He had one which went in but was called offside. He got a hand on that as well. Really tough saves. There was one that was point blank straight immediately at him. He had to get down very quickly to save that header, I believe it was. Phenomenal performance from him. I think that was his best performance in goalkeeper greens for Inter Miami since he's got here. And honestly, he needed to be the difference, because otherwise Inter Miami could have really lost that game in the first half. And second half, honestly, wouldn't have mattered at all if we'd let 2 or 3 goals in the first half. So the fact that Ustari not only had a couple of really good saves, had that penalty save, and was the difference maker at the end of the day, so happy for him. So happy for him.
Yeah, he came up incredibly big in that LAFC second leg that allowed us to go through to the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And then this game, 2 best games, I think, for Inter Miami as a fan all year. And Ustadi was crucial in both of them. And then the penalty, if they had converted that penalty, it would have been a deserved 1-0 lead. I thought the penalty itself was kind of soft, but the way they were ripping apart our back line in that first half, I thought it would have been a deserved 1-0. But Oscar Ustadi was like, no, I got this, fam. And we're going to come back out in the second half and ball out and show what we really are. The defense, maybe we should save the defense for a little bit. Upcode says it's the greatest 0-0 draw ever. It was really fun. I'm starting to calm down from my high and excitement of the game, and I'm starting to think, man, we actually did have some moments in the last 10 minutes where we could have won the game.
No, there was so
That
many
Messi
moments,
shot.
dude. Last 10 minutes was like at least 10 shots on their goal. Well, I'm exaggerating, but still, you get the gist.
No, but Messi had that shot to the back corner. Fafo Bicot had a header that El Shanawi had to make a great save on. Maxi Falcone had a header. There was real opportunities. Throughout the second half, they probably had 6 or 7 real opportunities in the second half. And that, in this level, is what it takes to, that's what you're going to get if you play well. And now listen, you want to convert 1 or 2 of them, but they did offensively what they needed to do. And defensively, I thought they were much better in the second half. Maxi Falcone, I thought he was really poor in the first half. The second half, one of the best players on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
the veteran presence. I was watching that first half and I was thinking, man, I know Aviles has the yellow card, but I might take Maxi Falcone off because of the lack of athleticism based on what they were trying to do. And I understood taking Aviles off because he was probably going to get a red card. But Maxi Falcone to step up like he did, I thought was unbelievable. The veteran, I mean, this is why you brought him in, right? The Copa Libertadores experience, the big game experience, the expectation to win every game experience. And he brought it tonight.
And takes a big man to actually put on such a good showing in the second half. In the first half, he was probably the worst player on the pitch. I don't think he had a particularly good game in that first half. Got completely torn to shreds by Abu Ali a fair few times. And then the second half, it just felt like a completely different player. And that's, I think, what experience does to you. And that's why I said to you, he may have a couple of moments here and there where it feels like, oh, he's not being able to keep up. But his experience and his calmness and composure just above and beyond anybody else's on this in this defensive line. I thought Aviles was poor, though. I didn't think he had a particularly good game. He obviously put himself under pressure with that yellow card, almost got away with it, almost got away with the red card. Well, did get away with the red card. And I think it was the correct decision to take him off, because I think the referee would have definitely gone for his pocket if Aviles had one more bad tackle.
Vistiano asks if I'm crying because my eyes are red. I think this is what happens when you do a 3-hour pregame show and then you stand about 18 inches away from your television for a whole game, and then you come on and do a post-game reaction. Too much screen time for me. Inter Miami belongs on this stage, and I want to get more into player performances, but I think the best part about that second half is we're not going to hold on for dear lives for the rest of this group stage. I feel like we can go play in Porto, and maybe they'll be better than Ahly, and maybe, they'll have a player that we can't handle or whatever. But I don't think there's any lack of confidence that we should be able to go out there and get results and compete in both of these next two legs. Ahly is a great team. I thought in the second half they lost a little bit of energy. I thought the heat was starting to get to them. You could see it, a couple people cramping, but they weren't quite as athletic, not quite as sharp. Inter Miami starting to win a couple second balls. But beyond that, I thought they started to feel the pressure. Like they thought we should have won the first half, and here we are in the second half, and all of a sudden it's not going our way, and we should be winning this game. We should be dominating. We should be getting out of here with 3 points. They started to feel the pressure, and they got a little sloppy, and they started making mistakes. And Inter Miami played incredibly clean the entire second half, poised, composed within themselves, and we saw what that looked like when Inter Miami plays their game. They were the better team in the second half.
You know what happened? They got a taste of the MLS. They just got MLS'd because they were thinking in the first half, they're like, how are we not up 5-0 in this first half? And then the second half, it was a completely different game. That was the perfect taste of an MLS result. But no, I think my biggest worry going into this game was that Inter Miami is not going to belong. And Ahly is absolutely going to tear us to shreds and honestly expose Inter Miami and the MLS and the levels. First half, first 10 minutes, I thought Inter Miami was doing really well to be competitive. We didn't have clear-cut opportunities, but we were doing well with the ball. We're not sitting back absorbing pressure, but we were definitely the inferior team because Ahly had a really good game plan and their attackers were completely dominating on their offense. And we weren't able to deal with their quickness, their sharpness, their physicality. It was really difficult. I thought Inter Miami was a lot more physical than Ahly, and I was surprised by that because I didn't realize that Inter Miami was capable of being that physical. And I think that's all down to the MLS and how the MLS is played. And the Egyptian league is definitely not that physical. And you could see on the faces of the Ahly players that they're like, what's going on? How are they getting away with some of this? And they had one of their defenders rubbing his arm afterwards. And like, what? Why are they hurting me, man? And that was all down to the MLS. So I was really pleased to see, despite the inferiority in that first half, I thought Inter Miami was doing really well to belong. I don't think they were being superb in any way or being competitive as such, but they were belonging there.
Well, so many things I want to touch on that you just talked about. The first, I think if you give us a healthy Jordi Alba and Yannick Bright, and then you move Noah Allen to center back, I actually think that would have solved the majority of the problems we had in that first half, because we were struggling so deeply, competitively against our back line, against their front line on the counterattacks. You know who's great at defending that? Noah Allen. You know who's great at defending that? Yannick Bright. So I think those two players healthy, and they might be healthy. They're doing individual work on the training ground. Like, they might be healthy for our next game. I think may have solved those problems. The second thing, you said it, the MLS. One of the most interesting things about this tournament is the clash of styles from across the world. And you could tell really early on there was a physicality that Ahly was not prepared for from Inter Miami. And Inter Miami was like, this is just what we do. And Ahly was like, what is happening?
And Inter Miami is the least physical team in the MLS of all.
I know. Yeah. And so this makes me wonder. Now, listen, I think the Brazilian league is very physical. So we'll see what that translates to. But maybe that means Palmeiras is going to beat up Porto. Maybe that means Palmeiras is going to beat up Ahly. And Inter Miami can withstand the physicality of it because they have that sort of chippiness to their, not chippiness to their game, but they play in a physical league where guys are strong and there are boots to the knee and there are clashes of hamstring, of, quad to quad, etc. And you go shoulder to shoulder more often against bigger people. And maybe you can withstand that a little bit better. So I thought that was very interesting. And then the other thing about Ahly is you could see the talent. You can see why people love that team. I think that coach knew exactly what to do to stop Inter Miami. But the confidence dropped, and Inter Miami grew.
I think the physical levels, they were tired by the end of it, man. They were tired. They had to compete in the second half, and they were really tired.
Not just that, but I got a little bit of a sense. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'm just talking here, but I got a little bit of a sense that Ahly was surprised Inter Miami was getting stronger into the game.
Yeah.
And I think Ahly probably is used to being the team that gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on, beats teams down physically, wears them down, outruns them, makes them tired. And instead, that was happening to them, and they were struggling to adapt to it. And the last thing I'll say is Imam Ashur went down. He might have broken his clavicle. That's really painful. I hope he's okay. Great player, and I'm sad we didn't get to see more of him. I hope he's back for the next game and we get a chance to watch him in this tournament. Their center back, not Ashraf Dari, but the other one, was getting beat up. Every time Inter Miami went into the box, he was coming out with his hand stepped on or his knee clashed or his shoulder beat up. It was the same player every single time.
I think his name's
that
Koke.
was, I think, I think it was their left-sided center back.
Okay.
Mohammed something. And that I thought was representative of exactly what you're talking about, where they had a physicality, and by that I mean Inter Miami, that Ahly was being ground down by, and that's just credit to the MLS, man.
So that was the story of the first half, where I was happy that Inter Miami was not being embarrassed. And then in the second half, I was just thinking to myself, who is this team and what have they done with my Inter Miami Herons? Because they were quite head and shoulders above what their first half showing was, and honestly the better team in the second half, which makes me feel so happy, because I genuinely think, okay, we're not just any other team that's going to get knocked around like that. We can belong against some of the best. And this is a fantastic Ahly side. They have the numbers, they have the depth, they have the talent and the ability. And I think if they can put on two good performances against Porto and Palmeiras, they're just going to get more and more. They're going to get stronger as the tournament progresses, because they're going to get used to the Miami Heat and everything. And I like to see this team play more in this tournament because it's a really fun team to watch. That being said, I hope it's Ahly and Miami that get through the group stages, because both teams, phenomenal showing. Very, very well played.
I was thinking about this game. Ahly played against the Seattle Sounders a couple years ago, and Seattle had won the CONCACAF Champions Cup the previous April or whatever, and then they went the next January or early February to the old style Club World Cup, and they played Ahly, and they lost. But the Seattle team by that point, they had missed the playoffs. Like, they were not a good representative of the MLS, even though they did win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like, the team was old, and that was their last hurrah, and they basically have fallen off ever since. This Inter Miami team feels like the first time an MLS team is getting an opportunity at their peak to go represent the MLS in a tournament like this. I think LAFC is poised to, and they're not quite at their peak, but I think the way they play and some of their best players, they are poised to also compete. Seattle is going to get blown out, but I think for the MLS, this was like a huge win. But for Inter Miami, I feel more confident that they're going to get out of the group than I did 4 hours ago.
Let's take it game by game. I think we don't want to get carried away with the emotions of this game, but I'm just really proud of the way the boys played tonight, man. It could have gone much worse, and they did have to do a lot of digging in, especially in that second half. They had to really soul search, and they did. So good for them. Good for Javier Mascherano. Just keep this momentum up. At least we're not going to get ducked out of the group. We put a point on the board, and now we can just build on that. Seba says relax. So yes, we need to relax. This is just one game. We'll see how the Porto game goes, but I'm feeling a lot more confident about it.
We're 90 minutes away from getting into the into the knockout rounds. Right?
Yeah,
if you put up a good performance, then you win. Yeah,
Yeah.
but now it's there, right? Before you had to do 2 games of that, and the other team was going to see you coming, all this other stuff. I think Inter Miami's alive. Like, I think if there was at the end of the halftime, we were thinking, like I was thinking, okay,
we're gonna get
okay.
I'm proud 4-0 and I'll be happy. Yeah. 4-0.
Frey was a dog, right?
Yeah. Ustari got a penalty save. That's all we wanted.
I know. Missiano says Aviles. What do you think about him moving forward?
We'll talk about it in depth tomorrow. I think we're definitely going to have that conversation. But I was not pleased by his performance. I think this was his chance to actually book his place in this lineup, and it just gives Javier Mascherano another reason to start Luan, and that's what I'm most upset about. Aviles needs to have a good set of performances to show Javier Mascherano that he belongs to and needs to be that starting centre back. I don't think today was it. He was a little bit iffy.
I thought he was fine, actually. Like, I thought he was very physical, overly physical.
That's the problem. I think
he deserves probably 3 yellow cards, if we're being honest. But that's the point, right? In terms of the positioning and sort of keeping with his guys,
that's not an issue with him. That's never been an issue with him. I think the biggest problem with Aviles is his discipline, and he should have been sent off today. I'm not going to lie. He got very lucky in escaping that red card. And that went into Miami's favor. But any other day, he costs us this entire game.
By the way, I just want to appreciate the referee, because I think he set the tone for the entire tournament. And that's what happens in the first game. And to let them get a little physical, to not be handing out yellow cards, especially early in the game, like crazy. Certainly we deserved all the yellow cards we got in the first half. Like, he set the tone that we're not going to be ticky-tacky with this. We're going to let the boys play. And I appreciated him for that. Inter Miami got a couple yellow cards in the second half. Busquets and Suarez that you probably would have liked to avoid. But I think it was okay. Nader says versus Porto will be an 8-0 loss. I'm not so sure about that, but we'll have to do our research and figure out what that's going to look like.
One thing I will say, the physicality of the MLS is going to be helpful, but also the Miami sun. Don't underestimate it. Some of these teams are just traveling in and are coming in away. I'm not sure if the Europeans used to.
But the next game's going to be in the Dome in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not going to be an advantage. And then Palmeiras, I
they're used to this. Yeah.
I think it's plenty humid in
they're more than happy about this. So this was a game where we could have taken advantage of, and we did, yeah.
But I think we did take advantage of it, right? Ben says we need changes in the starting 11 for next game. Probably we need to know the health status. Is the next game Thursday or Wednesday?
Thursday, June 19th.
I
think there's a chance Yannick Bright plays that game,
and Jordi Alba too. I think they're both. Yeah. I think they're both like questionable right now for that game. Dave says Messi was phenomenal, man. Man of the match for me. Nearly scored from a left foot across at the end. That would have been unbelievable if he made that.
He did everything except score. Everything
except score. Everything. He's bought it. He's into it, dude. And I thought there was I didn't really think this, but in the back of my mind, I thought there was a chance that they were going to go out and say, we can try our best, but it is what it is. Messi worked harder in this game than we've seen him work in the MLS all season. Like, he is dialed in, and this is exactly what we will need from him if we're going to be competitive moving forward. And I think we're getting it from him. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do.
First half, he was struggling to get involved because the Al Ahly midfielders were actually on him, and we weren't able to get the ball to him as often as we would like. And in the second half, he was just untouchable. He was twisting, turning, getting around. There was this one highlight moment that he had where he stepped around one of the defenders and sent off a shot. He had so many good moments this game. That free kick that he took that everyone thought went in, including me, where I was like, "Oh shit, we've actually scored!" Oh, sorry, we've actually scored. And then there were so many good opportunities, man, that he had, and he created them all by himself.
It wasn't all by himself, though, right? Like I
Not
thought
in,
Cello,
not yeah,
I thought Cello was very
no,
good creating
absolutely
space
not
on the
in the
right in the
sense that
second
he
half.
did everything by himself, but the fact that his aura was palpable. You could tell that he was having a lot of fun in that second half.
And he was like ultra physical in this game.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't
Playing more
afraid to get
defense.
stuck in. Yeah.
It's just a privilege to watch. Honestly, we always say this about him, but this was awesome. Ian Frey, I wanted to talk about because in that first half, he was the only player going forward and doing something for Inter Miami. And I thought it was the right decision to move him to center back because of the situation that Inter Miami has and how the game was unfolding and what Al Ahly was doing. But talk about fearlessness from Ian Frey.
Arrogance,
he kicked it
nonchalance, just an
awesome.
absolute disregard for where he is and what he's what stage he's on. He was just balling out. I think one of the first 5 touches of his game was a back heel flick into Tadeo Allende. I was like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the Club World Cup stage where everyone else should be better than you. And yet here you are not caring about it and just completely balling out. I loved it. I loved his confidence. I loved his arrogance. He was pirouetting in the middle of the pitch. I was like, he didn't come away with the ball. I was like, okay, this is fun. He cut in a couple of times, got free, and then put a really good ball in. He got into the box, almost had an opportunity to cut the ball back for a goal. There was so much he was doing on that right hand side of the pitch where I was like, you should just be a right winger, man. No need to be a right back because just so silky and smooth. And I hope some of the Al Ahly fans saw him today and were thinking, wow, he's really good. And also some of the global scouts who might have been at the game because he showed off.
Yeah, he did. Miami King says, do you really think Mascherano did good for the starting lineup, how bad the first half was? Here's the thing. He only had 2 real choices. He could pick Redondo or Kremaski in the midfield. I thought he made the right decision. He could have picked Cello or he could have picked Ian Frey at right back. I thought he made the right decision. And then I thought he made the right decisions at halftime to switch it up. So, yes, I thought he did. I thought he picked the right.
And there was one way to change that midfield and stop the first half issues that we were facing, and he did exactly that. He made Allende and Segovia come a little bit narrow. Yeah. Cello Wigan was getting into the middle to get that extra body. So he did exactly what was supposed to be done tactically to get the best out of the starting 11 itself. And I think you can't fault him for the starting 11. He didn't have too many options, and I think he picked correctly.
Then he responds, why didn't he start like he did in the second half? He wouldn't have played Ian Frey as a center back to start the game, period, because he doesn't really think of Ian Frey as a center back. He had to make the change because A, he doesn't have any center backs and Aviles would have gotten a red. That's why Ian Frey went there and he didn't really have any other choices. And then also Maxi Falcone, I thought was really bad in the first half and excellent in the second half. And so that wasn't like a lineup thing. It was just one player. Well, a lot of players played much better in the second half, but he was.
How dare you disrespect my man Ryan Saylor like that? He obviously had him on the bench.
If Ryan Saylor came into this game, we would have won. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
When he plays striker, he scores. He scores.
He's got a 100% record.
Trezeguet for Al Ahly wasn't bad either.
Oh,
I think we nailed it, by the way.
Good.
In terms of what we were thinking about this team, El Shanawi was great. We didn't get to see too much of Imam Ashur, but Wessam Abu Ali was great.
We didn't get to see Aliou Dieng at all, right? Or did he come in the second half? Yeah, I was surprised.
No. But their depth of wingers, they showed. I thought the 2 they brought on first, Trezeguet started, and then Zizou was the first sub when Imam Ashur got hurt. Those 2 are the new wingers, and it looked like they hadn't spent a ton of time with their team yet. But also Jose Rivero, I thought, had the perfect game plan. but he couldn't quite get enough out of them in the second half. But I thought that had more to do with Miami than what Ahly was doing. Like I thought they had a really good game plan, and I thought the team they did what they should have done in the first half, and they just couldn't quite carry it through.
No, dude, if someone watches that game and thinks Al-Ali is a bad team or is the worst team in the league or worst team in the tournament or whatever, oof, you'll be in for a surprise, man, because I think they can beat any of the two of Palmeiras and Porto. They're a good team.
It wouldn't shock me if these are the two teams that get out of the group stage.
Yeah.
Miami King, why would we give up more goals if Benja started instead of Redondo? Benja is just a little more prone to turning the ball over. And while Redondo is very safe and it's disappointing sometimes because he always passes backwards or sideways, like I get why that's disappointing in the MLS. I think in this game, we needed to not be doing that.
But I thought Benja was actually really good when he came on for Segovia. I thought he had
but he didn't play the defensive midfield.
Yeah.
Boosie, I thought didn't have a good game. I agree. I thought he was really bad in the first half. He had a bunch of turnovers and just misplayed passes. Like 2 or 3 really poorly played passes from him that are normally just pinpoint.
And then second half, he was just completely back to his normal self.
Yeah, he was. Except he gets his dumb yellow card in the last 10 minutes. Jay says Boosie can't not play next game due to yellow. I don't know what that means, but
I don't think he
as far as
I think he might have. Well,
this is a brand new tournament, of course.
Yeah, so he has to get another yellow in the next game to sit out the third one. Yeah.
Seba says it wasn't a penalty. I agree with them.
I think it was very soft. It was very soft. Again, I can see why you would give it, but it was soft in my opinion.
A lot of people asking where are the Ali people. Listen, we had a lot of very confident Ali fans, and again, I want to give them credit because they were very worthy competition. It wouldn't be fun getting a 0-0 draw unless we played a great team. The fans there, it looked like
that's what I was going to say, man. It was Al-Ali stadium. They were everywhere. Good for them, dude. Really, really good for them. What an absolute fantastic fan base.
Yeah. And then, I wanted to bring this up. Sean, can we talk about the 100-yard run to save the game from Ian Frey at the end? No, that was it. It was the last play of the game. Inter Miami has all those corners, doesn't convert. Okay, you didn't see it. They don't convert, and then the referee allows Al-Ali to break the other way, and it's 4-on-1. 4-on-1. Noah Allen is looking like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And the team just made it back, and Ian Frey makes the tackle that sort of deflects the ball, and then the referee calls it. So yeah, Ian Frey, even in the 95th minute, was unbelievable. Should have lost, could have won, says the Devon Knit. Still don't understand as far as going 95
That's
minutes.
Actually such a good way to put it, man. It is such... I love that, Devon. I'm going to steal that. Should have lost, could have won.
Okay, I'm going to run through the chat and see if there's any talking points we didn't really get to yet. But I want to get your thoughts on sort of how you're feeling about the tournament now, because we've talked about this. If we got blown out 6-0, I don't know how excited we would have been for the next 2 games. But now that I watched that, and I had the most fun I've had watching a soccer game in at least months, possibly years, I am incredibly excited for the games tomorrow. I mean, I can't wait to watch Palmeiras and Porto. But next week's game against Porto, are we fully in now?
I think you and I have been fully in for a while. We would have enjoyed it even if we'd gotten blown out. We would have found a way to enjoy it. But this just is a very proud moment as an Inter Miami fan to just sit back and think, okay, our team actually belongs. We competed with the best of the best in Africa, and we went toe-to-toe with them. It was really good, punch for punch. It was almost like the perfect boxing match when up until the last minute, we were just fighting for our lives, and I love that. Both teams gave it their all. Such a fun way to start the tournament. I'm still a little bit worried about how the next couple of games are going to be, just because I think, these are big teams. We don't know much about how the matchups are going to be, but it gives me a lot of confidence in how this Inter Miami team can now perform in this tournament. We've opened up our account with a draw, 1 point on the board, and I think overall it just puts a lot of confidence in my heart that this team is taking this seriously. We're not here to play around. We're going to try our best to get the results. Sometimes we may fall short, sometimes we may be under pressure, but both the coach and the team today showed me that they want to actually do well for their fans. They may end up winning some games, they may end up losing some games. This was a great way to just make sure you wear that jersey with pride. Second half performance, brilliant. First half, we tried our best. Of course, recovering from that was the most important thing, and we did that really well. So, overall, great game. Hats off to Ahly. So proud of my boys. Bring on Porto.
Review says from Vancouver's 5-0 to a tie game with the Egyptian Real Madrid. It's the Lujan effect. Raymond says it's the battle of the goalkeepers. Upcode says, I think Atlanta's stadium is laying grass. There's a lot of Arabic in the chat, and I don't speak or read Arabic, so we're going to skip through that. This was the right group of players, and I'm not sure our bench is any deeper for the rest of this tournament, unless we start getting people back from injuries. I don't think Leo Alfonso and Alan Obando are going to come in this tournament. Santi Morales, Tyler Hall, whoever. Maybe Baltasar, but really I think we're looking at the three guys we had in Cello, Benjamin Kramaski, and Fafa Biko, and then hopefully we get a David Martinez and a Yannick Bright and a Jordi Alba backs, and that'll give us some flexibility defensively. But this was interesting. Masked Speed Chess says, I feel so bad for the European players who are coming off a long season and are about to hit the humidity across the East Coast. If there was going to be an equalizer in this tournament, that might just be it. I'm so excited for this tournament. It's not just Inter Miami. This whole tournament has got me hyped. Maybe we should end it there because we've already been streaming for almost 4 hours. But what a game. What an experience. And I'm just so happy we get to be a part of it and not some dumb Orlando City fan trying to, hate watch Inter Miami hoping we lose. This was so fun. So awesome. So proud of this team. Great vibes all around.
And I just want to thank every single fan that has stuck with us, not just today, but for a while. And today especially, we've been live for a long time. And there's been some people in the chat who have been with us for the last year, maybe a little bit longer since we've been streaming. And I've seen them all day in the chat with us. So thank you so much, guys. You're what makes this worth it. We enjoy it only because you're there with us, having fun, bantering, crying, screaming at our players. So thank you for everything. And I love doing this with you, Scotty. So thank you for that. And then tomorrow we'll be back for our post-game analysis, which is going to be a lot more tactical, analytical. But Scotty's still going to have red eyes because he's going to spend the entire day crying tomorrow with happiness of how good his team performed.
I might cry after what you just said because that was beautiful. I agree 100%. We will be back tomorrow with the awards and a breakdown. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to watch the game again because this DAZN thing, I'm not sure if they'll allow replays.
It's we'll DAZN, by the way. I spent an entire afternoon learning how to pronounce it, so it's DAZN.
See, I was out there learning how to pronounce Nate's Gradishar and Wessam Abu Ali, and you were out there learning how to pronounce DAZN.
Priorities, man.
All right, guys. I think we're a little delusional. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Enjoy this dramatic draw. It was a ton of fun, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.